Okay, this is chapter 10. It's section 10.1, adding polynomials. Alright, so we're going to start off with something really simple here. It's just a definition of like terms. Like terms are two monomials that differ only by their coefficients. So they have to have two things that are alike. They have to have the same variable and the same exponent. Okay, it's kind of like the twins. Okay, so here's an example. Okay, of like terms. You have 3xy plus 4xy. Both of them have the same variable, so those are like terms. Okay, if you were to add them together, okay, let's go over here and switch this to pen mode. Okay, if you were to add them together, you would just have 3 plus 4, which gives you 7, and then xy just carries over. Okay, so these terms can be combined because they are like. Alright, so the same variable and the same exponent. Even though the exponents aren't written here, they're assumed to be 1. And all you need to do is add the coefficients and leave the variables the same. Okay, and there you have it, 7xy. Alright, so then you have two like terms here. You have y plus y. Okay, you can add those together since they are like. The coefficient, it's not written there, but it's assumed to be 1. So really you're just adding 1 plus 1, which gives you 2. You're going to have 2y. Okay, here's some more examples. Here you have 4x squared plus 5x squared. Okay, if you add those together, you're just doing 4 plus 5. The x squared stays the same, so you have 9x squared. Okay, 8x y to the second plus 10x y to the second. Okay, these are like terms. They both have an x, they both have a y, and notice that the exponent for the y is raised to the second power on both of them. That's what makes them like. So you're just going to add 8 plus 10, which gives you 18. Okay, here's another one. You have y to the third plus 2y. Like terms, you can add them together. You're going to have 3y to the third. Okay, 9x y to the third plus 3y to the third. Okay, looking at this, you might think for the moment that they're alike, but this one has an x and this one doesn't, so they're not alike. Okay, you cannot add them together. Alright, so there's a worksheet that we're going to go to, and you have that worksheet. Okay, it looks something like this. And we're going to be combining some like terms here. Alright, so here you have a binomial, okay, added to another binomial. Okay, this is pretty easy here. All you want to do is identify your like terms, and you're going to combine them. So I'm going to look at this. I have a 9x here, okay, and then I have a 4x here. I'm going to add these together. So I'm going to have 9x plus 4x, which is going to give me 13x. Okay, then I also have like terms here. I have a 3 and I have a negative 2. Notice how I'm talking about sign here. Okay, I have a negative 3 and a positive 2. When I put these together, negative 3 minus 2 is going to give me a positive 1. Okay, and once again, if you're not good with the opposite signs or anything like that, you can always go back and use your calculator. So let's try this again. Identify the like terms. You have 6x and x. Okay, put those together. 6x plus x is going to give you 7x. Okay, find your like terms here. You have 2 and you have 1. Put those together. 2 plus 1 gives you a positive 3. Okay, notice that I'm stopping here. I'm not combining this any further. Okay, 7x and 3 are not like terms. This one has an x and this one doesn't. Alright, once again, okay, identify the like terms, 9y and a negative 2y. So I have 9y minus 2y. Okay, so that's going to give me 7y. And then I have a positive 7 and a negative 7. If I add those together, it's going to give me 0. So the answer here is 7y. Alright, so now I have a trinomial, okay, added to a binomial. Okay, and all you're doing is looking for your like terms. You have an m squared here, so you want to look over here and see, do you have any other terms that have the m squared? And since you do, you can add those together. M squared plus 4m squared gives you 5m squared. Okay, let's kind of cross this off here because we're done with it. Do you have an m and an n over here? Okay, you do not. So you're going to just drop this down into your answer. Take the sign with it. It's a negative. So it's negative 2mn. Okay, we're done with that. And then I have an n squared here and an n squared here. It's a positive 1, and it's a minus 6 or a negative 6. So I have 1 minus 6. That's going to give me negative 5, and then n to the second. Okay, nothing else here is alike. Okay, so this would be considered your final answer right here. Okay, so let's scroll down here for a second. Okay, these are the last two problems on the sheet. Okay, all right, so once again, let's identify those like terms here. You have 7xy squared. Okay, and you're going to look over here in this trinomial. It's actually in the middle this time. Okay, and this one was the beginning term. So really look through carefully. Make sure you know what you're picking and that they are like. Okay, so you have 7xy squared plus 1y squared, or excuse me, xy squared. That's going to give you 8xy squared. Okay, cross those off. You're done with them. Okay, then you have a negative 2x squared. Over here you have a positive 5x squared, so put those together. Negative 2 plus 5 gives you positive 3x squared. Okay, cross them off, you're done with them. And then you have a y squared here and a y squared here. Negative 4 plus 2 gives you negative 2y squared. Okay, nothing here is alike, can't combine it any further, so this is going to be your final answer here. All right, so this is a little different here. It says combine like terms, then evaluate. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this. Okay, the directions say to combine the like terms first. So I'm going to do that. I have a 4a and an a. So I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to have a 5a. Okay, and then I have a b and a negative 3 over here. I have a 5b and a negative 3. They're not like, so this is just going to be written out as plus 5b and minus 3. All right, so I combined my like terms. Now they want me to evaluate. Evaluate just means take these numbers, plug them in for the letters, and then see what you get as a final answer. So I'm going to have 5. Make sure you put this in parentheses here. 5 times negative 2 plus 5 times 3 minus 3. Follow your order of operations. Work left to right with the multiplication. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. Okay, put your plus sign in there. 5 times 3 gives me 15. Okay, and then minus 3 on the outside. Okay, negative 10 plus 15 gives me 5. Okay, I drop down the minus 3, and then 5 minus 3 gives me 2. All right, so there you have it. That was the adding portion. Now let's get into the subtracting polynomials here. Okay, so we're going to view this all through PowerPoint now. Okay, so you're subtracting polynomials this time. It's similar, but there's just one extra step that's involved. Okay, you're going to change it to an addition problem. When you see it, it's going to be written with a subtraction sign. We're just going to switch it, okay, and make it an addition problem. I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, remember that subtract means to add the opposite. Okay, so when I say that, if you look here, we're subtracting 8 minus 3. Well, that's going to give me 5. Let me turn my pen back on here. Oh, okay, we actually have it on the PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to get 5 on both sides here. Look, it's 8 minus 3 gives me 5, and then 8 plus a negative 3 also gives me 5. So that's what it means when it says subtract means to add the opposite. Okay, so I'm adding the opposite here. Okay, all right, so let's look at another one here real quick. All right, you have 9 minus negative 5. It's going to give you a 14 here because these turn into plus signs. Then you have 9 plus 5, which also gives you 14. Okay, so no matter which way you cut it, subtract means to add the opposite. All right, so before we combine like terms, we're going to have to turn it into an addition problem. So let's take a look and see what we have here. Okay, where did that go? All right, there it is. Okay, so with our subtraction, okay, before you get started here and come up with your final answer, okay, let me turn my pen on. Okay, you're going to take this negative, okay, and really all you're doing is distributing the negative to the back polynomial. Okay, in this case it's a binomial. So you're just saying negative 1 times 5x. All that's happening here is you're switching the sign to make it a negative 5x. This positive, okay, you're multiplying it by a negative, that also becomes a negative. So now you're going to take this, okay, and you're going to combine it with the like terms over here. So you have 8x and a negative 5x. Okay, well 8 minus 5 gives you 3x. All right, so we're done with that. Let's do the 6 and let's do the negative 5. Okay, so you have 6 minus 5, which gives you positive 1. Okay, so these are alike, or excuse me, these are not alike, so you can't combine them. Okay, so let's take a look at that. Let's do another one here. Okay. All right, so before you combine your like terms, make sure that you change it to an addition problem by distributing the negative. So the 4x squared becomes a negative 4x squared, and the positive 2 becomes a negative 2. Now, let me add my 2 in there. Okay, you're going to combine your like terms here. So you have 4x squared minus 4x squared, and what do you know? That cancels out completely. That would be 0. And then you have 3 and a negative 2. 3 minus 2 gives you a positive 1. That's your final answer for that. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, so let's see if I could pull both of these up. Here we go. All right, so distribute that negative. All right, so you're changing the signs of the last binomial. It's really all you're doing. This positive becomes a negative. This negative becomes a positive. Okay, from here, nice and easy, combine those like terms. 7 minus 5. 7 minus 5 gives you 2a. Okay, combine the 2 and the 3. Okay, you're adding those together. 2 plus 3 gives me 5. These are not like, that's your final answer. Okay, distribute once again. This becomes negative x. This becomes negative 10. Combine your like terms. 3x minus x gives you 2x. Well, that was not a pretty x. And then 10 minus 10, once again, that cancels out. That's 0. So your final answer is 2x. All right, so let's take a look here. Okay, we have another problem. This is a trinomial minus another trinomial. So once again, you're doing the same thing. You're just distributing 3 times now. Change all those signs. This positive becomes a negative. Okay, this positive becomes a negative. And this positive also becomes a negative. Okay, identify those like terms and combine them. So 4x squared minus 3x squared is x squared. Okay, I'm done with that. Then I have 7xy. Okay, notice how I didn't say the negative there. That's actually very important. Negative 7xy minus xy is going to give me negative 8xy. Okay, done with those. Negative 2y squared plus 5y squared. That's going to give me a positive 3y squared. Okay, none of these are alike, so I can't combine it any further. So I am finished with this problem. All right, so now it says simplify, then evaluate. Okay, so once again, we're going to turn this into an addition problem. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change all these signs here. So it's going to become negative 3x squared, it's going to become negative 2xy, and it's going to become positive y squared. Then I'm going to combine all my like terms. 5x squared and negative 3x squared gives me 2x squared. Then I have positive 2x squared and negative 2x. Oh, I'm sorry, positive 2xy and negative 2xy, those cancel. That's 0. Then I have negative y squared and positive y squared. Once again, those canceled. So now they're telling you to evaluate. They're saying if a is equal to negative 2, oh, I should have switched these letters here. That's my fault. Let's make this x. Okay, so if x is equal to negative 2 and y is equal to 3, all we're doing is plugging in here, and we only have an x, so we're going to do negative 2 in parentheses, follow your order of operations. Negative 2 squared gives you positive 4. Then you have 2 times 4, which gives you 8. Okay, so we evaluated that. Not too bad. All right, and this is the end of 10.1.